Everything's good. Nice to see you again. I think the first time we spoke, it was just audio. I think we were just on the
I
phone.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's great to see you. So much has happened since then.
Oh my
So,
God,
oh,
yeah.
so it's great to catch up about the new album Oneness, which is sounds like such a personal journey. So let's begin our conversation with now we're out of this pandemic. How much of getting through that time period either influenced this album or has like sent waves through what you do right now?
Well, all the music I think was written during COVID.
Yeah,
And what I find very interesting with so many songs, not just these songs, is that how relevant a song can be. A song that was written in a certain time is relevant at a totally different time.
yeah,
Um, so obviously things do take time if it's like the recording process of the album or the whole post production. So time did pass by a lot, and I thought that it was such a I don't know coincidence. I don't want to use that word too much, but such a coincidence that um, the music was released in this time of with everything that's happening in the world. You know.
So before we get into specific aspects of you putting this together, there is a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on with this administration, with people being afraid, with all these things that are going on. So my question to you is this. When Bob Dylan was putting out music, and there were moments where we needed to have artists kind of talk about what was going on to kind of help us get through times. How do you feel in 2025 about the artist community putting material out that's going to shed some light and help us get through this time period?
I think it's one of the strongest voices that people can share any kind of artistry that can also it's like an archive, in a very
Yeah.
artistic kind of way. Whatever any artist is putting out there and doing, um, and we can take a look at it and say, okay, this is specifically for this time. Like we were very intentional about putting this music out there, but we just let the music and everything kind of flow through us. And once the music is out, it has nothing to do with us. Like
Yeah.
we can say that was my intention, but every person who will hear it will relate to it in their own personal journey. So if I had, you know, a word or two to say about it, is that I really hope that this music or any music that I make just like brings some healing to this world and some balance to people's lives, some hope. Um, but everyone will feel it and play it in their own journeys.
So the idea behind this is it's a tapestry of global influences. Talk to me a little bit about that. I kind of want to peel back the layers of exactly what that means for you.
Sure. So I think since always, I've been very curious and excited about all kinds of uh, different types of music. If we do need to put a category to, to them,
Yeah.
just for the sake of everyone's understanding. So I was very inspired and excited to study jazz and the whole improvisational aspects behind it, and that led me to discovering music from Africa, from Morocco, Gnawa, traditional Moroccan music, and so every time when I do um, explore something, which is a groove, a harmony, a song, a genre, I just soak it in as much as I want to. And then when it's time for me to compose the music, it's like kind of squeezing in that sponge that has soaked in so much. So, specifically with Oneness, during this time of composing this music, I was I was and am very drawn to classical Indian music. So I started studying it while I was writing this album, and I'm still in the middle of this exploration. So I think that specifically classical Indian music a, has a lot of um, influence to the sound of this album,
What are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
whatever they need. Whatever they need. As I said before, healing is something that I try to give myself when when I work with music, when I compose, when I express myself. So I hope that this kind of open-hearted process will kind of ripple musically or energetically to the people around us. Because the more open we are, it's sort of like an invitation, an unspoken invitation for people to be open and themselves. And if we can all just be, then maybe we'll have a lighter energy in this universe.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What is each successive release, when you look at the arc of your album releases, is it an evolution of you? Is it where you're at a snapshot in time? How do you compartmentalize to a certain degree each successive release in your career?
Mm. I think it is like a snapshot because I think the natural evolution of every artist, like if you are an artist, you're always in an exploration time, right? Or we're always exploring, especially the spirit of jazz is to always push the boundaries and see like, okay, this is where I'm at. How can I push this a bit here, push this a bit there? How can I stretch my own boundaries? Um, and even I forgot the name, but the solo singer, the main singer of Metallica, he even says that. It's
Oh,
like,
James Hetfield.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm kind of also riding upon his words that we're always in exploration. So whatever album, even any live performance that we do is kind of a snapshot of where we are in that day, which
yeah,
I think is very unique to the big genre of
yeah,
jazz or that big umbrella. And that's why I like to call it the spirit, right?
yeah,
Because it's always evolving, and we are, as people, we're always evolving. So,
yeah. So let me ask you this. You're in an international hotbed of jazz musicians and music in general. How strong is the community in 2025?
that's a great question. Um, I think that when I just moved to New York, I was hanging out in certain clubs and certain scenes. Um, and now I moved to hanging out in other kind of musical scenes. But I think that my answer might answer a different question. Um, I think I want to surround myself with people that will uplift me and and make us all grow better as this word is used too much, but as a community.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm building myself my own circles, my own community. So if there is a musician or a space that I don't feel comfortable with and everyone is kind of in their own, then it's not something that I would like to encounter. So I do feel that in my own personal journey, I just surround myself with musicians, with my team that just want to help lift us all up. Because I personally know how challenging it is in the music industry, that everyone is more like entrepreneur and need to do everything on their own. So if I have spent so much time to work on something, if it's musically or business wise, then I'm happy to share it and get that sharing experience back.
yeah. So talk to me a little bit about everyone that was a part of this project. You had an award-winning engineer and producer. You had a great cast of musicians. Talk to me about how this group worked so well together to make Oneness.
So this band, which is Nick Ketko on piano, Sam Weber on bass, and Evan Hyde on drums, and we do have special guests. I'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
We have been playing together since 2016, so we've been playing all over, all types of different gigs, playing a lot of my original music and some of standards and things that we need to do for certain other gigs. And this time together has crafted our sound. Like it is our sound, our understanding with each other of how to communicate through this music. So when I did write the material for this album, I was like, we need to finally put our sound into a record. So that was the perfect opportunity. At the same time, I was and still am hanging out with my dear friend Jay Gandhi, who is a Bansuri flautist, and he is part of the Brooklyn Raga Massive um, community here. And I learned through him, like I learned with him a lot. So I'm like, you have to be on this record. So
Yeah.
he's a big feature, and same with Trip Dudley, who's on percussion, who's also part of the BRM community. And percussion is always good. So,
Yeah.
and I really heard that, and he's a good friend of mine. So bringing the people from the Brooklyn Raga Massive community into our sound has been such a joy. And an expansion of our exploration. And Fran, who he engineered my previous album, Change of Light, he's just amazing. Um, he's just amazing, and he gets the music. So I had to call him and tell him, you have to do this new record.
Yeah.
I also want to credit two friends of mine, which is Aubrey Johnson and Daniel Fresco, who just shared their voices, their beautiful voices on the track Oneness,
Yeah.
which is our final thing that we just needed more love and more voices on this track. So they're also featured on this album.
So at this point right now, promoting this album, is there a part of you that's moving into thinking about the next project? Is it kind of a rendezvous to get back into thinking about oneness? Where are you right now as we kind of enter a new year and get ready to go into the warm months?
So we want to share the music as much as we can.
Yeah.
I think it's very important at this time to share this music and the spirit of this music. Um, and at the same time, so we're putting all our efforts into that. At the same time, I am a composer, I am a creator, and the music has been written like 3 years ago. So it's
Yeah.
natural that I am working on some new material that I prefer not to share so much, not to limit myself
Sure.
within the process.
Yep.
But we're always in a creative process.
So as an artist from Israel in America in 2025, a new album out, where are you at with feeling hopeful about the future? How do you feel about things right now?
Um, there is a book that I really love by Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Buddhist writer, and one of his books titles is No Mud, No Lotus. So the lotus flower has to be created by all the things that are not the lotus flower. Yeah.
Yeah.
So without the mud, without the rain, without the sun, without all these things, the lotus flower cannot exist.
Yeah.
So I really try to be hopeful, and I am hopeful for a better future. Do we know where it's going to take us? Absolutely not. Like I personally, I don't know, but I do strongly believe that something something beautiful, has to grow out of it. And when will it happen? How it's gonna happen? I I can't say.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What are you doing for promotion, live shows? If anyone wants to catch you live, what's going on?
My website is the best, sivanarbel.com. We encourage you to follow us on Spotify, or whatever streaming platform people choose, um, Instagram, social media, and buy the music.
And
you you can
Bandcamp,
buy
is
it
that
on
the way?
Bandcamp.
Okay.
Bandcamp go like all the revenues go directly to us, which will save you a lot of streaming. That will give artists nowadays uh, nothing, basically.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, hey, thank you so much. It's great to catch up with you. I appreciate you talking about the album. Best of luck as we kind of move through this year.
Likewise, thanks so much for having me.
Yes, thank you.